Have you ever felt trapped in relationships that drain your energy, leaving you feeling exhausted and unappreciated? You try to explain yourself, to seek understanding, to make things work, but instead you're met with judgment, criticism, and an overwhelming pressure to meet someone else's expectations. The weight of these relationships makes you question your worth, your decisions, and even your happiness. And in those moments, a question lingers in your mind. Is there a way to break free without creating more pain? The answer lies in the quiet strength of Stoicism. With its wisdom and clarity, it offers a way forward, one that doesn't involve conflict, explanations, or endless justifications. You don't have to fight, argue, or prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to engage in the drama. Instead, you can simply walk away, silently, without a word. This is not an act of weakness. It is one of the greatest demonstrations of inner power. The ability to focus on your own journey, to let go of what no longer serves you, and to protect your peace without engaging in unnecessary conflict. I know this path well. I've walked it, struggled with it, and learned from it. And today, I want to share with you the lessons that changed my life. Because once you understand how to cut off negativity without reaction, you'll realize that true strength is not in fighting battles, it's in refusing to fight battles that don't deserve your energy. Letting go of negative energy. There are moments when you must confront the fact that some relationships, some situations, simply do not belong in your life anymore. They disrupt your peace, fill you with doubt, and drain the energy that should be used to build your future. It could be harsh words spoken carelessly, a friend who is more of a critic than a supporter, or an environment that constantly leaves you feeling emotionally depleted. The natural instinct is to react, to defend yourself, to argue, to try and change the other person's behavior. But Stoicism teaches us that reacting is not always the answer. Instead of engaging in frustration, choose silence. Instead of trying to fix what cannot be fixed, step away. Give yourself the gift of distance, of breathing freely, of no longer carrying the emotional weight of relationships that only bring you down. This is not about avoidance. It's about making a conscious choice to protect the peace within your soul, to prioritize the things that add value to your life rather than those that drain you. Think about it. How often do we stay in relationships that no longer serve us just because of history, just because we feel guilty? Consider Sarah, a young woman who had been best friends with Emma since high school. But over time, Emma's jealousy and constant criticism began to take a toll on Sarah's spirit. What once felt like a friendship now felt like a competition, with Emma always finding ways to put Sarah down. Sarah had a choice. She could stay, endure the negativity, and continue feeling drained after every conversation. Or she could do something radical, something that required strength. She could step away silently, without resentment, without arguments, without explanations. And that's exactly what she did. Sarah didn't confront Emma. She didn't start a fight. She simply distanced herself, choosing her peace over the weight of a relationship that no longer nurtured her. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." We cannot control how others behave, but we can always control how we respond. Many people hesitate to walk away from negative relationships because they fear hurting others. But letting go is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-preservation. It is choosing to prioritize your well-being over a bond that is no longer healthy. Take Daniel, a young entrepreneur whose business partner constantly took advantage of his generosity, borrowing money, demanding favors, but never reciprocating. Time and time again, Daniel tried to address the issue, hoping his partner would change. But the cycle continued. Then, one day, he made a decision. He didn't fight. He didn't accuse. He didn't demand explanations. He simply stepped away. No arguments, no dramatic confrontation, just a quiet exit, refocusing his energy on building something meaningful instead of wasting it on a relationship that only took from him. Ending relationships in silence is not abandonment, it is self-respect. As Epictetus taught, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Don't let your mind be drawn into someone else's negativity. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. The courage to walk away. Guilt often follows when we choose to cut ties with those who were once close to us. The mind plays tricks, making us wonder if we are being too harsh, too cold, too selfish. But the truth is, not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people are only meant to walk with us for a season. And just because someone was once a part of your journey doesn't mean they are meant to stay for the rest of it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If someone consistently fills your mind with negativity, doubt, and pain, then your happiness will inevitably suffer. Ask yourself, am I truly happy around this person? If the answer is no, then walking away is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-love. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what we can control. You cannot change someone else's behavior. You cannot force someone to see your worth. But you can choose how much of your energy you are willing to invest in relationships that bring you nothing but pain. Observe, evaluate, act decisively. Ask yourself, where is this negativity coming from? Does this person frequently criticize, manipulate, or drain me? Does this relationship bring me peace, or does it bring me stress? Awareness is the first step toward freedom, and when you realize that certain relationships are no longer serving you, you have every right to walk away. Not out of resentment, not out of anger, but out of a deep understanding that your energy is valuable, your peace is sacred, and your happiness is worth protecting. Walking away isn't cold, it isn't heartless, it is the ultimate act of self-preservation. And the best part? You don't need anyone's permission to do it. Your journey does not require anyone's approval. You have the right to decide who walks with you and who does not. And when you finally choose yourself, when you finally cut off negativity without looking back, you will realize that your greatest strength was never in holding on. It was in knowing when to let go. Be brave and prioritize yourself. When you start eliminating negativity from your life, an undeniable truth begins to reveal itself. Not every relationship, not every situation can be fixed with words. Sometimes the best way to protect your inner peace is not through explanations or discussions, but through silence and distance. Walking away without a word is not avoidance, it's wisdom. It is a demonstration of a mind that has mastered itself, a person who understands that not every battle is worth fighting. When you choose to remove yourself from toxic situations without reacting, you send a powerful message. You are focused on your own journey, not on unnecessary chaos. This is where you must embrace the courage to put yourself first. Many people hesitate to do this, fearing they will be seen as selfish or unkind. They worry about hurting others, about seeming indifferent. But here's the truth. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. It is the foundation upon which a fulfilling life is built. Think about it. If you constantly sacrifice your well-being to meet the expectations of others, what's left of you? How much of your energy is spent trying to please people who don't appreciate you? Imagine someone trapped in a toxic relationship, enduring daily conflicts and feeling undervalued. They recognize the problem, yet they hesitate to leave. They fear loneliness. They fear judgment. They wonder, am I being too harsh? Should I try harder? This inner conflict is something many of us have faced. The battle between the desire for change and the fear of the unknown. But what's the real cost of staying? What's the cost of holding on to something that only drains you? Let's use a simple metaphor. Imagine yourself as a candle. If you keep burning brightly for everyone around you, giving away your light without replenishing your energy, what happens? Eventually, that candle burns out. And when you are burned out, what do you have left to give? Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You cannot always control the negativity that enters your life, but you can control how much space you give it. And sometimes the strongest reaction is no reaction at all. Picture a work environment that drains you every day. The stress, the unappreciated efforts, the endless criticism. You know this job no longer aligns with your values, but you hesitate to leave. You tell yourself, maybe it will get better, or what if I don't find something else? But then, one day, you send a simple resignation email. No long explanations, no dramatic confrontation, just a quiet, decisive exit. That silence speaks volumes. It is not weakness, it is power. It says, I know my worth. I choose my peace over this situation. But let's be honest, letting go is never easy. It comes with doubts, with moments of loneliness, with late nights questioning whether you made the right decision. Yet, in those moments of silence, something powerful happens. You begin to rediscover your inner strength. You realize that solitude is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. Imagine your life as a garden. If you allow weeds to grow unchecked, they will suffocate the flowers. Removing the weeds may be painful, but it is necessary for the garden to flourish. The same applies to your life. If you continue holding on to what no longer serves you, you will never have the space to grow. Choosing yourself, even when it means walking alone for a while, is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-respect. The power of silence. One of the most misunderstood strengths is the power of silence. Silence is not avoidance. It is not passivity. It is a strategic choice. It is the decision to disengage from drama, to walk away from unnecessary conflict, and to refuse to waste energy on people or situations that don't deserve your attention. Think about the last time someone tried to provoke you, whether it was through criticism, gossip, or manipulation. What did they want? A reaction. They wanted you to engage, to defend yourself, to argue, to be pulled into their negativity. But what happens when you refuse to react? When you respond with silence, you remove their power over you. You shift the dynamic. You no longer play their game. As Seneca wisely said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Many of our fears about walking away exist only in our minds. We worry about what others will think. We fear the discomfort of change. We imagine the worst possible outcomes. But in reality, once you make the decision to step away, a sense of relief replaces the fear. Think of a person in your life who constantly drains you, someone who criticizes, belittles, or manipulates. Now imagine what would happen if, instead of arguing or trying to prove yourself, you simply chose silence. You stop responding to their negativity. You stop explaining yourself. You stop justifying your choices. And instead, you just walk away. Not in anger, not in resentment, but with quiet certainty that you deserve better. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If someone is constantly planting seeds of negativity in your mind, your happiness will suffer. So ask yourself, are you truly happy around this person? If the answer is no, then walking away is an act of self-love. Prioritize your peace. At the end of the day, life is too short to be spent in toxic environments or with people who do not respect your peace. You do not owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. You do not need permission to cut off negativity, and you certainly do not need to engage in battles that drain your energy and serve no purpose. Your journey is your own. You get to decide who walks with you and who does not. And when you finally embrace the power of silence, when you finally step away from what no longer serves you, you will understand that true strength was never about fighting to be heard. It was about knowing when to walk away. Let go of what no longer serves you. There comes a moment in life when you realize that holding on is doing more harm than letting go. That certain people, certain situations, certain habits no longer serve your growth. Yet we hesitate. We convince ourselves that maybe things will change. Maybe if we try harder, if we explain ourselves better, if we give it one more chance, things will finally be different. But deep down, we know the truth. Some things are not meant to stay. Some people are not meant to walk with us forever. Letting go is not an act of rejection. It is an act of love. Love for yourself, love for your future, and love for the peace you deserve. Many of us cling to things that no longer serve us because of familiarity. The comfort of the known, even when it is painful, can feel safer than the uncertainty of change. But think about this. Would you hold on to the shattered pieces of a broken glass just because it was once whole? Or would you let it go, knowing that clinging to it will only cause more pain? The same applies to relationships, old expectations, and past versions of yourself. The longer you hold on to what no longer serves you, the more you suffer. And the longer you delay letting go, the more you prevent yourself from stepping into something better. The burden of carrying the past. Picture yourself walking on a long road, carrying a heavy backpack. Inside that backpack are all the things you refuse to let go of: past relationships, regrets, disappointments, the opinions of others. At first, you barely notice the weight, but as the journey continues, that burden becomes heavier and heavier. Each step feels harder, each moment more exhausting. Now imagine setting that backpack down. Imagine walking forward, unburdened, free from everything that was holding you back. That is the power of letting go. It is not an act of cruelty or indifference, it is an act of liberation. When you let go, you make space for new opportunities, for relationships that uplift you, for experiences that bring you joy. You cannot grow if you are weighed down by what no longer belongs in your life. Epictetus said, "Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern, and be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours." This is the essence of emotional freedom. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing what no longer aligns with your purpose to control your emotions. You can love someone from afar. You can wish someone well while choosing to walk a different path. You can be grateful for the lessons without needing to hold on to the pain. The silent goodbye. Not all endings need closure. Not every goodbye needs an explanation. Sometimes the most powerful way to let go is in silence. You do not need to argue. You do not need to justify yourself. You simply step away. Consider someone who constantly provokes you, who criticizes, manipulates, or drags you into meaningless arguments. You could engage. You could defend yourself. You could explain why you deserve to be treated better. Or you could choose silence. You could walk away, refusing to give them the reaction they seek. In that moment, your silence is not weakness, it is power. Seneca once said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." If you do not decide what deserves your energy, life will decide for you. And most often, it will drain you with distractions, conflicts, and meaningless battles. So ask yourself, what am I holding on to that is keeping me stuck? Who in my life drains me rather than supports me? What would happen if I finally let go? Letting go is not losing. It is choosing. It is choosing peace over chaos. It is choosing yourself over a situation that no longer serves you. It is choosing to move forward rather than remain stuck in the past. And when you finally let go, you will realize that freedom was always within reach. All it required was the courage to take the first step. Protecting your energy with boundaries. Now that you have created space by letting go, the next step is learning how to protect your peace. Because here's the truth. If you don't set clear boundaries, negativity will find its way back in. Peace is not something you find once and keep forever. It is something you must guard, nurture, and actively protect. Think of your inner peace like a garden. You can pull out the weeds, but if you do not build a fence, new weeds will always find a way in. Boundaries are that fence. They are not about pushing people away. They are about deciding what you will and will not allow in your life. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." That is your responsibility, to choose carefully who you allow into your space. To be mindful of the energy you accept, because not everyone deserves access to you. Boundaries are not walls. They do not mean you shut people out. They simply mean you choose what is healthy for you. They mean you have the self-respect to say, "I will not entertain negativity. I will not allow toxic relationships to drain me. I will not waste energy on things that do not align with my peace." The strength in walking away. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that not everyone will understand your journey. Some will resist your growth. Some will feel uncomfortable with the changes you make. That is not your concern. Your job is not to explain yourself to those who refuse to see your worth. Your job is to keep walking, even if that means walking alone. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If someone constantly fills your mind with negativity, how can you be happy? If a situation constantly drains you, how can you be at peace? At some point you have to ask yourself, do I care more about my peace or about keeping others comfortable? Because the truth is, when you choose yourself, not everyone will approve. Some people like the old version of you, the one who tolerated mistreatment, who stayed quiet, who put others first at the expense of their own happiness. But you are not that person anymore. You have outgrown situations that no longer serve you. You have learned the power of silence. You have embraced the courage to walk away. And in doing so, you have set yourself free. Protect your energy with clear boundaries. Letting go of what no longer serves you is just the first step. The real challenge lies in protecting your newfound peace. Because the truth is, if you don't establish boundaries, the same negativity will find its way back into your life. Inner peace is like a fire. It burns brightly, but if left unguarded, the wrong people can extinguish it with their words, their demands, and their expectations. To protect your energy, you must learn to say no without guilt, to walk away without hesitation, and to build an invisible wall between yourself and the things that drain you. Boundaries are not about isolation. They are about preservation. They are a declaration that your time, your energy, and your emotions are valuable, and that not everyone deserves access to them. The silent strength of boundaries. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear being judged, misunderstood, or seen as selfish. But here's what you must understand. Boundaries are not about rejecting people. They are about choosing yourself. Think of a time when you allowed someone to overstep your limits, whether it was a friend who constantly criticized you, a colleague who took advantage of your kindness, or a family member who made you feel guilty for prioritizing your own needs. How did it feel? Draining? Exhausting? Like you were carrying a weight that wasn't yours to carry? Now imagine if, instead of explaining yourself or engaging in endless discussions, you simply removed yourself from that situation. No arguments, no explanations, just quiet distance. That silence speaks louder than words. It says, "I will not participate in this negativity." It says, "My peace is worth more than this conflict." It says, "I do not need to justify my decision to protect my energy." The power of choosing who you allow into your life. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This is a lesson in mindfulness, a reminder that the people we surround ourselves with shape our thoughts, our emotions, and our growth. Not everyone deserves a place in your life. Some people will drain you, manipulate you, or keep you stuck in patterns that no longer align with your path. The moment you realize this, you reclaim control over your life. You are not obligated to entertain negativity. You are not required to keep relationships that leave you feeling empty. You have the power to choose, and sometimes the best choice is to walk away. Why silence is the most powerful boundary. One of the hardest things to accept is that not everyone will respect your boundaries. Some will push back, challenge you, or try to make you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. But remember this, silence is a boundary in itself. You do not have to explain why you are stepping away. You do not have to convince anyone that your choices are valid. You do not have to justify why you are protecting your peace. When you choose silence, you refuse to participate in the drama. You take back your power. Think of a heated argument. Words are thrown back and forth, emotions rise, and in the end, nothing is resolved. Now imagine removing yourself from the situation entirely, choosing not to engage, choosing not to react. What happens? The argument loses its power. The negativity has nowhere to go. Your silence becomes your strongest defense. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always have the option of having no opinion. There is never a need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you cannot control." When someone tries to pull you into negativity, remember this. You do not have to participate. You do not have to react. You can simply walk away. Walking away is an act of strength. Some people think that walking away means giving up, that setting boundaries means shutting people out, but this could not be further from the truth. Walking away is an act of strength. It means you are choosing peace over chaos. It means you are prioritizing your well-being over unnecessary conflict. It means you have reached a point where you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to people who refuse to understand you. Consider someone who constantly doubts your dreams, criticizes your choices, or diminishes your accomplishments. At first, you might try to explain yourself, to show them your perspective, to get them to see things from your point of view. But eventually, you realize something. Some people do not want to understand you. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you. And that is when you stop explaining. That is when you simply step away. No anger, no resentment, just quiet certainty that you are choosing yourself. Not everyone will like your boundaries, and that's okay. One of the hardest parts of setting boundaries is realizing that not everyone will approve of them. Some people will call you distant, some will say you've changed, some will accuse you of being selfish, but here's the truth. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always be the most upset when you start enforcing them. That does not mean you are wrong. That does not mean you should change. That means your boundaries are working. The people who truly respect you will understand. They will honor your need for space. They will recognize that setting boundaries is not about pushing people away. It's about protecting your own peace. And the ones who cannot accept that, they were never meant to be part of your journey in the first place. Your peace is worth protecting. At the end of the day, You must ask yourself one question. Am I willing to sacrifice my happiness just to make others comfortable? Because the reality is, if you continue to let others overstep your boundaries, you will continue to feel drained, frustrated, and disconnected from yourself. But the moment you take a stand, the moment you decide that your peace is worth more than anyone's approval, you take back control of your life. You realize that you do not have to tolerate disrespect. You do not have to explain why you need space. You do not have to participate in negativity. You can simply choose peace. And when you do, something incredible happens. You start to feel lighter. You start to feel stronger. You start to attract people and experiences that align with the person you are becoming. Because when you set boundaries, you send a message to the world. I know my worth, and I refuse to settle for anything less than what aligns with my peace. And that is true strength. Your journey doesn't need their approval. Not everyone will understand the changes you make. Some people will resist them. Others will feel uncomfortable with the boundaries you set. And that's okay. You are not here to live according to someone else's expectations. You are not obligated to keep relationships that drain you just to avoid disappointing others. Your journey, your growth, does not require anyone's approval. But here's the challenge. We are conditioned to seek validation. From a young age, we are taught to fit in, to be agreeable, to make others happy even at the expense of our own well-being. So when we begin prioritizing ourselves, when we start cutting ties with toxic people, when we walk away from what no longer serves us, there is resistance. People don't like change. They prefer the version of you that was easy to control, easy to manipulate, easy to keep in a box. And when you start choosing yourself, they will call you different. They will say, "You've changed." And you must have the courage to say, "Yes, I have." Because growth requires change. And if you are not changing, if you are not evolving, if you are still trying to fit into old versions of yourself just to keep others comfortable, then you are not truly living. The fear of being misunderstood. One of the hardest things about setting boundaries and walking away from negativity is the fear of being misunderstood. You worry that people will judge you, that they will think you are cold, distant, or selfish. But let me ask you this. If someone refuses to understand your need for peace, were they ever truly in your corner? If someone only respects you when you are bending to their expectations, is that really respect? Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. This is the greatest illusion, that we must be liked by everyone, that we must be accepted in order to be worthy. But real freedom comes when you stop seeking validation, when you stop needing people to understand you, when you embrace the fact that your journey is yours alone." The strength to walk alone. There will be moments when walking away will feel lonely. You will question yourself. You will wonder if you made the right decision. You will feel the weight of silence after cutting ties with people who were once a big part of your life. But in that silence, you will find something powerful: clarity. You will see how much energy you were wasting on the wrong people. You will realize how much lighter you feel without the burden of forced relationships. You will discover a deep sense of peace that can only come when you are no longer surrounded by negativity. And in that moment, you will understand. Walking away was not losing. It was winning back yourself. You do not need to explain yourself. One of the most liberating truths you will ever learn is this: you do not owe anyone an explanation for your decisions. You do not need to justify why you are cutting ties with certain people. You do not need to defend your right to prioritize your mental and emotional health. You do not need to convince anyone that your peace matters. because the people who genuinely respect you will not require explanations, and the ones who do, they were never listening to you anyway. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Your actions will speak louder than any words ever could. So instead of explaining, instead of seeking approval, just live. Live in a way that aligns with your values. Live in a way that honors your peace. Live in a way that prioritizes your growth, and let your silence be the only answer they ever need." The people who are meant for you will understand. Not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Some people were only part of your journey for a season. And as painful as it may be, letting them go is necessary. Because as you grow, as you evolve, as you step into the person you are meant to become, you will attract the right people. People who uplift you. People who support your boundaries without question. People who celebrate your growth instead of resenting it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And I would add, the happiness of your life also depends on the people you allow into it. So choose wisely. Choose those who bring light, not darkness. Choose those who inspire, not drain. Choose those who see your worth without you having to prove it. And most importantly, choose yourself. The final lesson: let your peace speak for itself. We have covered so much on this journey: letting go, setting boundaries, choosing silence, protecting your energy. And now it all comes down to this: your peace is your greatest asset. Guard it fiercely, not with anger, not with arguments, but with quiet certainty. Let go of what no longer serves you. Walk away from relationships that drain you. Protect your time, your energy, your mind. And above all, remember, you do not need their approval. You do not need their permission. You do not need their understanding. You only need to trust yourself. Because when you stop explaining, when you stop justifying, when you stop reacting, that is when you truly become free. The ultimate freedom, releasing the need for approval. At the heart of all this, the letting go, the boundaries, the silence, there is one final truth. You do not need anyone's approval to live your life. For so long, you may have sought validation. You may have explained yourself over and over, hoping that someone would finally understand. You may have sacrificed your peace just to make others comfortable. But now you see the truth. Your life is not a debate. Your choices are not up for discussion. You do not need to convince anyone that you deserve peace. You do not need to seek permission to remove yourself from toxic environments. You do not need anyone's understanding to live the way you choose. And the moment you fully accept this, you become truly free. The people who resist your growth were never for you. One of the most painful realizations in life is this: not everyone will celebrate your growth. Some people will resent it. Some will try to guilt you into staying the same. Some will call you selfish for choosing yourself. But understand this: the people who resist your growth are the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries. They were comfortable when you were always available, when you always said yes, when you tolerated what should never have been tolerated. But you are no longer that person. You are no longer willing to sacrifice your well-being for the sake of keeping others comfortable. You are no longer available for relationships that drain you. You are no longer explaining yourself to those who never truly listened. And that is something to be proud of. The strength to walk away without looking back. There is immense power in walking away, not with anger, not with resentment, but with quiet confidence. Walking away means you understand your worth. It means you no longer waste time on battles that do not serve you. It means you have finally chosen yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are constantly consumed by people who do not value you, your happiness will suffer. But if you choose to fill your mind with peace, with purpose, with self-respect, then no one can take that happiness from you. So ask yourself, are you still explaining yourself to people who refuse to understand? Are you still engaging in conversations that leave you drained? Are you still holding on to relationships out of guilt rather than genuine connection? If so, it is time to let go, silently, powerfully, without looking back. The life that awaits you after letting go. Here is what they don't tell you about walking away. At first it feels uncomfortable. You may feel guilty. You may second-guess your decision. You may wonder if you should have tried harder. But then, something incredible happens. You start to feel lighter. You wake up without the weight of toxic relationships on your shoulders. You have more energy for the things that truly matter. You begin attracting the right people, the ones who respect your boundaries, who uplift you, who understand your value without you having to prove it. And most importantly, you find peace. The kind of peace that no longer depends on others. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you have reclaimed control over your life. The kind of peace that is unshakable because it was built on self-trust.